So to do this project today, you need about 1 metre or 1.20 meters of pink ribbon, a bit of green ribbon, and a load of Sharpies. You're probably thinking, why do you need Sharpies? I'll show you in a minute. So decide what side you're going to start on and leave about, look, so here's our foxglove that we're doing. I want the bottom to kind of fall down here, so I think I'm going to start somewhere around there. Now you're not going to believe how easy this is, and please excuse my horrible nails. So decide where you're going to start and leave, I don't know, about 4 inches, 12 centimeters of ribbon at the back. And then you're going to do your first shape. So stick your finger underneath so you get a nice kind of curl going on there. And first of all, you've got to push it back into the ribbon. Get your hand underneath so that you can receive it on the other side. But all the while, you're holding the ribbon with your thumb. Look at the back, wiggle it a little bit and pull it through. Now, before you get to the end, keep an eye on how it's curling, because what you want it to do is curl a bit like that. See that big curl? But we don't quite want it that big, so let's keep going smaller. When you're happy with how much it's curled, then stop. But you be the judge of what you think is good. Now, it's basically that we do a petal on one side, a petal on the other, but slightly stagger it and work our way up. So, leave this bit hanging down for the moment. We will tie it off, but not now. So we've just gone down there. So now I need to do another petal so that it falls on the other side with a little bit of a gap about there. So I'm going to pull that carefully, always checking the other side. So always checking the other side, don't pull it too tight. Keeping an eye on that first petal, making sure it's okay. Now I'm doing it with the shiny side up, but you may prefer not to do it shiny side up. So I think I want my first one to be a bit ski-whiffy down. I don't know why at the moment. So what happens is, I don't know if you've noticed, they're kind of bigger down here and then they get smaller as they go up. Have it going down a little bit and quite big. So put my hand underneath, push it through, wiggle it a little bit, pull, but keep track. You've got to keep track of this, yeah? Look how I'm sticking my finger in there so I can control the curl. So it's twisted, so I've got to twist it back and then pull it through. So you end up with something like that. So I'm going to keep doing that, going all the way up. So I'm going to move that original one out of the way, which I will tie off at the end. And I think I'm going to go about here. So you want the jumper, or let's open it out, shall we? So you want the jumper that you use to have quite a loose knit, really. Is that obvious? I don't know if it's obvious. So I'm keeping them more or less the same size for the first couple of rows. I'm going back into the ribbon, pushing it through, holding onto the ribbon as I wiggle it through on the other side, pull it through, put my finger inside so I can control that curl, and then when you're happy with the shape, am I happy with that shape? Oh. When you're happy with the shape, oops, then do the one on the opposite side. So keep checking behind. So I want it to be shiny side up. Now I'm doing this upside down. It is a little bit tricky doing it upside down because really they need to kind of start coming down a bit, don't they, really? So I'm going to head them towards you now. So still quite big, pushing it through, checking the other side, holding it as I pull it. Where is it? Holding it down as I pull it, keeping an eye on that roll. So it should look a bit like that. Now I'm going to keep working my way straight up, leaving a tiny little gap there, but you don't really need to leave a gap there. I'll leave it up to you to decide. So I'm going to keep doing it, so I end up with a couple of big ones and they get smaller, 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 and then they end up like this at the top. Now I have actually, I ran out of pink. I have got more, but I thought maybe we can move on to these bits. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do the leaves at the bottom, okay? Now they're done in exactly the same way, but they're a bit bigger. Oh, actually before we do that, let's do this. Right, what we're going to do is we're going to tie off, we're on the back and we've got loose ends. We're going to tie them off like that, get a pair of scissors, cut it so there's still like a little bit of something there. And then afterwards I'm going to get a flame and singe that so it sort of melts it back so it doesn't come undone. We've got to do them about 1 inch away from the bottom, and they are usually bigger than the petals of our foxglove flower. Did I say it was a foxglove? I didn't, did I? It's a foxglove. So, same method but a little bit longer. You decide how long. Do the little curly thing at the end. So you want 3 of these. So I'm going to do one going to one side. My foxglove is looking a bit wonky, but it's okay. One in the centre, shiny side up. One going down in the centre, which somehow I feel should be shorter. Don't know why. It's really hard doing this upside down actually. And one going off at the side here. Now you've got to do the tying off of the ends again. So I cut it quite long so that I can tie a knot in it. Both ends, tie knots in them. Try not to pull it too much because then it affects the shape of the petal on the other side. So I'll chop that, chop that. Right, so if you're happy with that, then you're ready to do the long stem in the middle. Now I've got a long piece of knitting wool, nothing special. So it's not embroidery thread, it's knitting wool. And I've got it the same colour as my leaves. I've put a knot in the back and I'm going to start where the leaves were there. So the first thing that I need to do is just come in, do a long stitch and then sort of do when you do a back stitch, okay? And you decide where you want this stem to go. Really you need this to just go straight up, but you can't really do that because then it will just keep coming undone. So just keep doing long stitches and try, a bit better than mine actually, to make it look straight. Right, when you're happy, if you're happy, that it's looking quite straight. Now you don't have to do this bit if you don't want to, but it can look quite nice if you go back to each of those petals, not the tiny ones, and just give it one little stitch. These ones might be a bit too small. Let's have a look. Just one little stitch right into the petal. So I'm going to open out the petal and see if I can get a stitch to go into it there. Let's try that. So for doing this part, you could actually use like a yellow or something. But I'm just doing this kind of green for now. So when you've done that, if you're happy with what you've done, not very happy with that, but still, then you've got to do a loop. So do a loop and go in it, don't pull it too tight, and just sort of go in a couple of times so it forms a knot at the back. And if you're happy with that, then cut it just a little bit away. Now, let's have a look at what we've got. Now, I know it's a little bit wonky, but as long as I do the other one wonky, maybe it will be okay. Or I might undo it and start again, because you can do that. Now, you're probably wondering, well, what's the Sharpie? What are the Sharpies for? The Sharpies are for bringing an amazing depth to your flower. Now, you look at this, it completely transforms it. So, just create a bit of inner shading where the petal comes towards the centre. Okay, now you shade that however you want, but I think it gives it a lot of depth if you shade it just in the core bit, just there. And then you can get any colour you want. No, that's too light. But if you get one that's like a little bit darker, then you can bring a bit more detail to your flower, like maybe a couple of little dots or something. But you do it your style. Now these are Sharpies, okay? Right, so I'm also going to do something to the green leaves as well down here. Not too much, but just something, just to give them a bit more depth. Look, it really, really does transform them, I think. Now, depending what you're doing your giant ribbon embroidery on, you might like the look of this. So look, that's how it can look when you press it. I think it's amazing. I think it looks like some sort of Japanese paper art, don't you think? So for this, I did exactly the same thing. I have done a little rose in the middle, but I did exactly the same thing as I showed you. Did all the shading and all that, and then I just got a whacking great big iron and gave it all a good press. Now, I don't know what you think about that, but I really think that is a very easy way to upcycle an old jumper or obviously a cardigan. But look at that. Now, I don't know if I should put it on the other side. What do you reckon? Should I put it on the other side? I mean, I'm tempted to put it on the other side, do something on the shoulders at the back, maybe some detail around here. I don't know, what do you think? Now, you can do this technique, as you can see, you can do it on fabric as well. You must use the chenille needles, which usually are a bit larger, and quite fine ribbon. And if you want to know where I got my ribbon from, you comment below and then I can tell you. Thank you so much for watching, and see you again very, very soon. Thank you. Bye.